What's up, everybody? It is I, Actively Lazy. With me is Joe, the left side of his brain, Matz. He can't have both sides working because he's still a Giants fan. But I like how you're switching teams with the hat now. You got the Twins on.
All right, the Twins ended the losing streak in the playoffs, so now I'm all in on the Twins.
Yeah,
Those are my guys.
Not a bad way to come back. So yeah, I will formally apologize to everybody. The recap show has been in hiatus, mostly because of scheduling conflicts. It is what it is, man. I'm trying.
You're a busy guy.
But honestly, a lot of it's because, like, how do you do a recap show in between two Monday Night Football games? It really annoys me when they do that.
Yeah, it's pretty much impossible weeks 2 and 3 this year because of that. So now we're back, though. That's what matters.
We're back. We will start and run through this as quick as possible so we can make kickoff. Bears 40, Commanders 20. That was the Thursday night game. I mean, what can you say? The Bears look good, and the Commanders were the Commanders.
I mean, back-to-back weeks, the Bears' offense has been good. It turns out throwing to DJ Moore is good.
But turns out playing the Commanders, the Giants, or anybody in the NFC East that's not the Eagles might be good for you.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps to go Broncos, Commanders back-to-back. That's a way to get right. And
for sure. The London game, Jaguars 25, Bills 20. The main storyline here is how healthy can the Bills get, man, because they had a lot of injuries here.
Yeah, that's obviously the worrying thing because this game, not that big a deal. If you look at most, yardage, turnovers, Bills should have won. It was just third downs. Jacksonville executed. Buffalo didn't. That's kind of a fluky thing for the most part. The injuries keep mounting up. And this defense, which, looked incredible as recently as when they played Washington. Now you're like losing half your starters. It starts to mount up. And it matters when you have Patrick Mahomes, potentially a healthy Joe Burrow down the stretch at least. And then the freaking Miami Dolphins. So yeah, every starter lost. It's worrying, but this singular game, not concerned. It's just the long-term health of that defense.
Bring back the running game for the Bills, man. That just annoys me. they don't have one.
It's a yearly thing. We talk about this every year. It is what it is.
It's ridiculous. Titans Colts. Oh, I could just go on and on about how much I hate Vrabel right now. Titans lost 16-23. Gardner Minshew, and sorry if anybody can hear me like yelling. The only reason why I yell is because the ESPN, man, they keep throwing these ads in randomly. So when you click on the titles, it's like loud in my ear. Sorry. Anyway, you got Gardner Minshew came in. Anthony Richardson got hurt again. They didn't miss a beat. And they ended up winning. Zach Moss was the biggest surprise.
That's my favorite part about this game is they just announced. So they're like, oh, we're paying Jonathan Taylor. And Zach Moss is like, all right, but are you sure?
Dude, they just shredded them, man. It was crazy to see. I just didn't anticipate that they would run the ball down there.
Right. That's usually the thing we can count on with the Titans defense is you can't run the ball. And then Zach Moss just looks like Jonathan Taylor from 2 years ago in this game. So, and then you just hope Anthony Richardson, his body looks like late career Cam Newton right now.
Yeah,
it's not great.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know what else to say, man. Other than he might be injury prone. Saints 34, Patriots shut out again. Wait, no, they got 3 points last week, right?
I think they scored last week, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So they shut out 34-0, man. Like, dude, what? That's awful. There's nothing else to say. It's awful.
The only upside to this is they did not break Bill Belichick's record for worst loss in back-to-back weeks, since they lost by 1 fewer points this week. So this is the worst time in the Belichick era, no doubt. I mean, back-to-back games, you lost by 35 and 34. Like, yeah, this is horrific. The offense does not look fixed. The offensive line, which has been kind of the thing you could count on, even besides Brady, even when it was Matt Castle, when it was Cam Newton, when it was Mac a couple years ago, the offensive line you could count on. They've got one good offensive lineman right now, at least one good healthy one. And yeah, when you have 4 offensive linemen that aren't getting it done, and you have Mac Jones at QB who cannot move at all, this is what you get.
It might be time for Bill to give up some of this roster responsibility, man.
Yeah,
like,
I think so.
I think it's time. And people asking if he's done. Like, that's been the talk of the town. Like, is he done? Is it time for him to be done? I told Ronnie if I'm Kraft, if Kraft actually cares, I don't know if he actually cares. But if
just writing it out.
Yeah, if he actually cares, it's a simple thing to me. Either you give up roster control and coach, or you're not on my team anymore. Like, he can't be in control of the roster. Like, this team is void of the kind of talent that you can use to win football games right now in the NFL. If this was like 2015, they'd probably be a 10, 11 win team.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the other thing too is this defense looked legitimately good, and then another defense were just ravaged by injuries, especially in the secondary. So I still think he's one of the sharpest defensive minds. I still think he generally knows how to build a defense. But yeah, there's just no skill position guys that scare you at all in this offense. And again, if you have a quarterback who can't create, you need guys who can help him out, who can make plays after the catch, who can run open. And this combination, I mean, yeah, we're seeing what you get.
You're a DFS player. Have you ever picked a Patriot player this year?
I don't think there's a chance, maybe like week 1, that I threw Stevenson in a lineup or something, but that's the only guy I would have considered. And then, yeah, once the offensive line went to shit, no, there's no one I'm even thinking about. Hunter Henry, maybe, I guess.
We're a family show. You can't say shit. Ravens 10, Steelers 17.
Oh my gosh.
Shit would be the perfect way to describe this game. What am I watching? Why does Baltimore continue to do cover 0? I thought Winks was in New York and I see them in 0. And I'm like, why? Like, that one play I have to go back to because it makes no sense. The only offense that the Steelers had was the back shoulder fade to Pickens.
Yeah.
And then assuming that he could get open with the single coverage would be a deep ball to Pickens. And what do they do in one of the most pivotal moments of the game? They go 0, nobody over top. Pickens outruns Humphreys, and the rest is history, man. Like, you know, a lot of blame falls on Lamar from fans, but I think John needs to start taking some criticism, man. He's not managing the game.
I mean, there are so many things that went wrong in this game. I mean, they had the ball on the goal line with a 2-point lead in a game where the Steelers had done nothing on offense.
0.
And Lamar kind of forces this fade that he shouldn't have thrown, gets picked off, and then the cover 0 stuff happens. And earlier in the game too, though, like Lamar, most of this game I thought played reasonably well. He's got his receivers letting him down, multiple drops, including in the end zone. So this game should have been out of reach multiple times. They let the Steelers hang around, and I mean, if there's one thing we know, you let a Mike Tomlin team hang around, they'll find some bizarre way to win, whether it's Watt forcing a fumble for a touchdown, or if you call cover 0, George Pickens beats you. So
especially in that division, I think we need to just scrap cover 0 if the field is longer than 30 yards, because every quarterback in the NFL
unless you're playing the Patriots, because none of the receivers can separate, so it doesn't matter. But I agree with you. When you have an offense that can't move the ball consistently, it doesn't make sense to leave a talented receiver one-on-one. I mean, the Ravens should probably be 5-0. They should have won that Colts game. They should have won this game. And they're letting the rest of the division hang around. They're ruining their chances of getting home field during the playoffs, which again, right now, Kansas City is home field.
Yeah.
So everyone in the AFC, you're blowing it right now. You're letting Kansas City do it again, even when they've had a banged up Travis Kelce the entire season. So I still think the Steelers probably just don't have it on offense down the road, and the Ravens should ultimately be okay. But this tells you a lot about both of these teams right now.
Yep. That division is a madhouse. Texans 19, Falcons 21. Man, I thought C.J. Stroud was going to get his first comeback victory. Man, that was one of the best 2-minute drives I've seen on a rookie in a long time. Man, he looked special, and regardless of the Falcons winning, I think the storyline really is how well C.J. Stroud has handled himself so far.
You don't think the story is that your guy Arthur Smith finally got the passing game going with Ritter? We got 300 yards, Pitts and London playing well.
No,
this is a minor miracle.
I need to see it back-to-back games. It'll be the story next week if they do it to Washington. If it's a one, because I have seen this before. I fell for it almost in week 2, I think. I got excited because I was like, oh, it looks like they were
against the Packers,
Yeah, and in week 3, it was back to our regularly scheduled program.
Well, they are at home against Washington, so there's a chance Ritter will play well in that game since he plays well at home and then falls apart on the road. But yeah, I agree with you. This is a big win for the Falcons because it's one that you kind of need to have as the season goes along. But yeah, the main takeaway is C.J. Stroud, week after week, with a pretty bad, banged-up offensive line, getting it done. So good job, Texans. You got it right.
Yeah. Panthers 24, Lions 42. Don't appreciate you subbing me today on the Aiden Hutchinson stuff. But, my team meathead, man. You looking good,
dude.
Man. Beat people how you're supposed to beat them.
The thing is, too, you're without Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're without, the running back who's really served as your number 2 back the whole season, even though you took him 12th overall. Without Gibbs. Doesn't matter. David Montgomery, 109 yards. Could have easily been multiple touchdowns. He got stopped at the 1 a couple times. And then Sam Laporta looking awesome. Also, for if people watch this game and the Sunday night game, San Francisco ran the exact same play to Kittle that the Lions ran to Laporta with the little fake reverse. And it worked just as well in both games, touchdowns. So, yeah, Ben Johnson and Kyle Shanahan, 2 of the top play callers in the league for sure.
Yeah, I would say that was probably something we had first, and that they copied us somehow. They got to us before. We're not copying the Lions. Giants 16, Dolphins 31. You guys scored points.
It is a miracle that this game was that close score-wise.
Yeah,
it took a lot to happen for it not to be a 25-30 point game. I think this game really was evidence of what the 2 things you're most worried about with both teams. Because the first half, people might not realize that Daniel Jones played probably his second best half outside of the second half against the Cardinals in the first half of this game. He was like 10 of 13. One of those passes hits off a defender but goes straight into Waller's hands at the goal line, drops it. We had 3 points on offense at the half, and Daniel Jones was playing well because we were averaging 2 yards a carry, and he'd been sacked 4 times. On PFF, we now have the 70th and 71st ranked tackles right now. They ranked 72 tackles on the season. The offensive line is so bad. And then Tua is the one thing you kind of worry about with the Dolphins, because the reason this wasn't a 35-point win for Miami, 2 picks, one of them at the goal line goes back for a pick 6. So, yeah, I forget who it was. Somebody in the group mentioned, they said, hey, as long as Tua's healthy and playing reasonably well, I'm not going to worry about a bad week. That's the right perspective. But it is the one thing, I think, when you look at this offense, which is set the record for yardage through 5 weeks. The one thing you worry about, is Tua going to be up for it when the chips are down, when you're replacing, teams that can keep up with you?
Yeah, you gotta cut the turnovers out, man.
They had 3 turnovers in this game, and they scored 31 points. Yeah. So that tells you how good they can be. Shane his yards per carry goes up every week. He's averaging 13 yards a carry now.
He hurt his knee apparently, so we'll see.
I hope for the rest of the NFL then.
Yeah, Bengals 34, Cardinals 20. It's a miracle. My man Joe Burrow healed over the weekend, like from week to week. His calf got progressively better, and the Bengals are back. That's what they say.
I want to believe that. I also, if anyone listens to my DFS show, I said this is the defense that the Giants look good at against. So play Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase this week. And yeah, lo and behold, it turns out Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase can take advantage of the Cardinals defense. I think the best news though is, besides that, they win that game, They have Seattle and then a bye. That's the biggest thing. Is that especially if they can get a win against Seattle, be back to 500, and then you get an extra week off for Joe Burrow to get healthy. They're in a prime spot if they win this Seattle game coming up. And then the Cardinals, hey, not the best game from Dobbs, but you remain relatively competitive. You lost. That's kind of what you wanted to keep doing. So,
are you subscribing to the Joe Burrow is hurt conspiracy? Because
is it a conspiracy?
I think
he's definitely hurt.
I think he was hurt for 2 weeks, and then I think it was that he just sucked. Get the ball to Jamar Chase, bro. That's all it takes. All it takes.
That deep ball was perfect. That was apparently the longest by air completion of his career so far. Yeah. So I do think that you can tell he can't move the way he normally could. Now, does that explain all the missed passes? No, I don't think so. But I think it's definitely part of it, though.
He tried to run for a 4th and 13 last week, or the week before last. I'm never letting that go. You can't tell me this dude's hurt and he's trying to scramble for 13 yards.
He's a gamer, all right?
Yeah, whatever.
Joe Cool's here to play.
Eagles 23, Rams 14. What's the Eagles' record without the brotherly shove?
I mean, I don't know. But we'd have to go back to before last season, right?
I mean, they keep making a big deal about it. Just don't let them in 1-yard situations, bro.
I mean, yeah, that's the key. Don't let them get to 3rd and 4th and 1.
Yeah.
I do think it's a little weird how much it's like this is unstoppable for the Eagles and everyone else. You failed at this. With actual numbers, it's like the Eagles are better at it. They convert over 90% of the time. The rest of the NFL is over 80%. The Cardinals, I think, haven't missed yet. The Giants famously failed against Seattle, but they were 4 for 4 before that. Most teams can do this.
You idiots ran it wrong. They were standing up rather than getting low.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key part. This low man wins. That's, back to basics.
I didn't understand that. God.
But yeah, I mean, Eagles, they don't look as impressive as the 49ers, but they just keep winning. So, hey, no complaints.
This is a quality.
And this is a real win. This is a real win for sure. And for the Rams, I looked today, they've had the second hardest, and easily by DVOA, the second hardest schedule in the league so far. And they're 2-3. They're in every game. I would be shocked, assuming Stafford stays healthy. I'll be shocked if they don't make the playoffs. I think this is just a good team, especially now that Cup's back. He had like 50 yards in his first drive. This is a well-coached, well-run team. I'm afraid of them down the stretch.
I'm not afraid of them unless we play them in the
Well, not if you're the Niners, but if you're like
I mean, we always beat the Rams. It's fine.
Yeah, you guys don't have to worry. It's the rest of the NFC that should be concerned about the Rams.
Jets 31, Broncos 21. What a mess in Denver, man. I mean, that's the line. That's it. What a mess.
Yeah, I mean, this was the Hackett revenge game. He definitely got that revenge. I don't know what happened to the Broncos defense. Again, this was a top 10 unit last year. I know they swapped coordinators, but it's not like Evero's very good, but it's not like they swapped in an unheard of coordinator. They didn't put, Matt Patricia back there to call the defense. So I don't know what's going on with Vance Joseph. And then the Broncos have had one of the easiest schedules so far. That's the scary thing right now. They just barely beat the Bears. They lost to the Jets. They still got to play the Kansas City, the Chargers.
Yeah.
Like this is going to get potentially much uglier than it is right now.
And the Commanders came back and beat them, so let's keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's not good.
No. Chiefs 27, Vikings 20. If I bet the Vikings one more time and they fumble,
stop doing it, man.
Drive,
stop doing it.
It makes me want to scream. It's the fumble every first drive, man. Every first drive. I don't understand. Why do you keep? They should all go to the Tiki Barber School of Protecting the Rock, man. Like it's insane.
It's true.
To this point, it's comical. It really is comical. Like every first drive, and don't even get me started on their 2-minute offense. It's got to be the worst in the league.
Although the weird thing is, again, as the person who said last year over and over again, this winning all these close games is not sustainable. It's not nearly as much of a skill as people think it is. And now they're 1-5 over the last 6 games going back to the playoffs in 8 point or less games. But the point is that they won a bunch of close games last year. They should at least be capable in a 2-minute situation. Like it's not like they've never done it before. It's not like Kirk Cousins has never been in this situation. So it is bizarre that they looked that bad yesterday in that situation.
It's trash.
But hey, they're just, keep losing. Maybe you get May. Maybe you'll get one of those other quarterbacks. You can save $40 million and move on from Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and I still say they're not a quarterback away, but
I don't. The defense is bad. So the offense, though, it's a great offense to step into if you're a young QB. You get Jefferson, Addison, an awesome left tackle.
Hawkinson.
Hawkinson. You couldn't ask for much more offensively if you're a young QB and you step into this situation next year. But and then Kansas City, they're Kansas City. Travis Kelce, for a second, everyone was freaking out. He's fine. So good to go.
You can ask for a better coach, but yeah. Game of the week. Wasn't much of a game. Niners 42, Cowboys 10. I've said everything I can say about the game. I know a lot of people are like everybody likes to pile on to the Cowboys when they lose. It almost makes beating them not fun. When you got more Eagles and Commander fans talking than the actual team that beat them, it's pretty annoying, but it is what it is. Everybody's
that's been my listen, I enjoyed it, but I'm also, as a Giants fan, I've realized that this is a team that beat us even more thoroughly than they got beat last night. Yeah. So I'm not gonna do cartwheels because hey, I wish we were the Cowboys right now. I'd happily trade places with them. One interesting thing that came up, because Steven Ruiz of The Ringer is probably the preeminent Dak defender among anyone I know in football. He made a point that I don't know if this was through 5 games or the previous 4 games, but if you look at EPA per play on straight dropbacks, Cowboys are pretty much the exact same team as last year. And it's on play action, they've gotten way worse. And so his argument was play action, those are the more we're designing these plays to get stuff open. That's where the drop off happens from Kellen Moore. Where now he said, it's a lot of the similar concepts you saw in late Green Bay where it's just not inventive. There's just not creativity. Kellen Moore, say whatever you will about him. When he hit you with the play action, it was usually well thought out. He led up to it with his play calls previously. He knows how to scheme that stuff up. So I do think, as much as Dak deserves blame, I'm not trying to say Dak is blameless. I do think the limitations of McCarthy play into the limitations of Dak. They complement each other in a negative way if you're a Cowboys fan.
Well, yeah, Dak doesn't necessarily strike fear stretching the ball down the field. And their plays are not designed really to attack people vertically. They don't get their yak people the ball in space. That's really my biggest issue with the offense. And I was showing people on next gen stats, the interception that Warner got. The concept is cool in years past where you didn't have athletes like Warner. And Warner's not the only athletic middle linebacker. There's plenty of middle linebackers that if they're within 3 to 4 yards of a deflected pass, they can turn on the dime, make the adjustment, and get the interception. So I was showing them with the alignment that they had, the route from the inside slot receiver on the right was coming to the middle of the field, which is also the window that you're trying to throw to the slant. Now the slant timing was thrown off because there was some press coverage and it was a man look on the left, but Warner's basically in a zone. So when you throw that slant late, you're now running the risk of Warner being in play. Whereas if you had that receiver going in another direction or going more vertical, he's not to the middle of the field. So some people probably be like, oh, it's not that serious. It really is, though. Every modernized passing attack takes into account the spacing of the players on the defensive side of the ball. That is why the Dolphins run so much motion. That is why the Niners run so much motion. That is why everybody looks for numbers and matchups. That is the modernized version of the NFL. God forbid you play the Chiefs and you think you're getting a straight up matchup. No, they're moving people and running routes to get you out of the way, to throw into windows, into space. That is why Brock Purdy looked so amazing last night. Because one, he was accurate as all hell, and then he had so much space to throw the ball. There was not a secondary defender within 5 yards of any pass he had, except for maybe 3 or 4 of those passes. And I think he had over 20 completions. The Cowboys don't have an offense that looks like that. And, Dak is probably one of the most unlucky passers when it comes to deflections. And this is what you're going to get.
He definitely is. He definitely is. Right now, anyway.
Yeah, and that's not to excuse the blatant cover 1 pick that he threw that I honestly don't have an excuse for. I don't know what the hell he was doing. I don't know why he would throw that. But and then the third interception was just literally, this is your tendency. You were check down Dak when you're under pressure, and you ran those same short bailout routes. Like Greenlaw almost picked one of them, but he just went for the hit because he's a meathead. Like Warner would have went for the interception.
Right.
In this case, the defender went for the pick rather than the hit. And it's just like, I don't know, McCarthy, bro, you got to catch up to the times. Like, I get you took over play calling.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it
would have happened by now if it was going to happen. Like,
it doesn't look good. And Dak will be the fall guy, but at the end of the day, you got Schottenheimer as your offensive coordinator. There's no reprieve there. That dude is terrible. You want to look at Russell Wilson's maybe third worst because you got last year and this year. You want to look at his third worst season? It was with Schottenheimer at OC, I think, in Seattle. But they can't run the ball either. And I know it's a little ranty, but I agree with him. Like it's just awful concepts. And fans and media alike probably will pile on the Dak because that's the easiest thing to do.
Right.
But he's not getting any help, man. He's still not getting what he needs, bro. And people probably like, well, what more does he need? A competent play caller. I never thought I would say I miss Kellen Moore, but damn, I might actually miss Kellen Moore.
Oh, I think so. I mean, you watch the Chargers. There's still, there's some issues, especially for whatever reason, always with their 4th down plays. But
that's your coach. That's your guy.
Well, Kellen Moore, I assume, is still suggesting the plays on 4th down. But yeah, I mean, but you look at what Herbert's done this season, and it's like, oh, he's completing 75% of his passes and hit a 400-yard game. It's like, oh, well, yeah, Kellen Moore helps. All
right, we're running into the kickoff. Packers, Raiders, who you got? I know you got the Packers because I picked the Raiders. Stay away from my bets.
That is correct. I found out that the Raiders have never beaten the Packers in my lifetime. So I'm going to say it continues.
In your lifetime? Wow.
In my life, I believe 1987 is the last time the Raiders beat the Packers.
And in your lifetime, they've only had 2 quarterbacks, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. So
pretty much, I think literally the first win was with a previous quarterback, and every win since has been. I mean, Brett Favre had after his dad died 4 touchdown game against the Raiders. So I feel like, for whatever reason, the Raiders just can't beat the Packers, and I don't have any faith in this Raiders team. So, Devontae Adams' revenge game, maybe that's the one reason to pick the Raiders, but I'll take Green Bay.
I got a prop, same game parlay prop with Adams scoring, and then I put the Raiders spread in there. I'm like, dude, why not do that to myself?
Godspeed.
Yeah, man. But we will be back next week. I don't have any plans next week, so we will be back next week, and good seeing you, Joe, and I wish nothing but the worst for your NFL team.
I mean, hey, it's only going to get worse next week against Buffalo. So
yeah,
I'm prepared for that. I just want the Twins to win another playoff series. So that's what I'm rooting for.
If Tyrod starts, I might take the points.
I mean, I wouldn't, but if Thomas and Saquon come back, sure, then I could ride with Tyrod in the points. But as long as there's no good offensive lineman and no one to make the play fakes matter, it doesn't matter who's at QB. It's going to be awful.
Yeah, man. All right, take care.
Later.